said, Robert, I said, oh yes, you are. You know, you've got a harmonic on your aerial, and it's actually interfering with traffic landing at the moment. We had a flight coming in from JFK this morning, and they, because they were having some trouble with the landing gear, they had to shift to a distress landing frequency, which was frequency 7. And when they did, they got the Bee Gees singing Tragedy. Absolutely true. It almost caused an international incident. Within an hour of having found out what we found out, we changed back to 252. We thought, hang it, we'll suffer it. At Radio Sweden came in at night, obviously operating on millions of watts an hour, probably about 1,000 watts at the time, kilowatt, as they say these days. But anyway, we got out of it. But they raided us the next day on the idea that we were still operating on 199, and the transmitter was actually 252 and went to court. And so that it was thrown out of court. Fortunately, we didn't have to pay the fine because they got it wrong. But we acted to, I just want to say, probably I'm telling you this because, well, one, because Nicola prompted me to tell you, but the other side of it was that we were always trying to do the right thing. And where do I go from here? So much in radio, so many people here tonight, so many people to speak. Somebody just asked me over there if I would do a character called Tom Clancy that I used to do on air.
Yes!
And,
But the thing about it, that if you really want me to say it, I will. He was a man from the Cumberland Mountains, still alive, lives with his mammy. And he went on radio on Timmy Ryan's breakfast show for years and years and years. And the thing is that he operated in his own field, and he had his own thoughts about everything. He didn't like Charlie Hawley much, and didn't like Anton too much, and then there were things he loved. And he was also trying to start the smallest, well actually the biggest little airport in Europe, in the Cumberland Mountains. And no one had ever started the airport in the Cumberland Mountains, but the whole idea was to get on with it. But I'll tell you anyway, while I'm here, that there was the convent up in Knockanaffel was very famous. There was only 9 nuns in it, and 8 of them went away on a retreat one day, and one of them stayed there, Sister Benignis. And she was a great nun. Everybody loved her, and she was powerful. And she had the convent to herself. So she said, I think I'll have a bath. And she went to the bath, and she had a bath, and she was immersed in water and suds and bubbles. And the thing about it is, as everyone knows, when you're immersed in water, or you're in the shower, the friggin' phone rings. Oh, it's on the bed. And that happened. The bell rang in the convent, and she lay in the water for about 5 minutes. The bell kept going. She said, oh, I better go and see what she is. So she went down to the main door anyway, and she thought she was drinking water everywhere, but I won't open it. And she was there, bollock naked basically, with the veil on. And she said, hello, who's there? Hello, who's there? Blind man! I said, oh, well, if he's blind, I suppose I could open the door, because he's not going to see anything and compromise my modesty. She opened the door like that, and the fellow standing there and says, Lord, sister, haven't you a great body for your age? Where do you want the blind home?
Because the weather and the travel and all the roadworks, all for WLR and Timmy's programme. Great Matt Keane is with us, ladies and gentlemen. It's worth listening to. Paul Power is with us from Kildare FM, folks. Give me a round of applause. All the way. He came down on a pipe all morning in the colour there. No more is said around there tonight, give that to him. We're going to work from Matt Keane in a minute. And let's not forget it. Steve Silby. We have Shay, did we come for Steve there? Fantastic speaking. We have Shay Susan as well.
Shay,
actually, it's Tip FM, ladies and gentlemen. He's a huge loss to work with as well, as is Roddy Clear there. We have Damien as well with us there, folks. Extra side. The most laid back man in the room. Wake him up there. It's Timmy Ryan, everyone. And the beautiful lady from Tumblewist there, she sank a few trawlers in her day. Eleanor Power is with us, folks. Give her a round of applause. They're like the king of the voiceovers with the queen of the voiceovers, Nicola Beresford. 60, not any night you like. We're going to have a word now from the one and only Mr. Matt Keane, followed by author and organiser tonight, Brian Kennedy. And I'd also like to put
Paul Power is down there. I can tell you stories about Paul. Lovely to see you, Paul. But I came here for one reason. I don't deal with war. I don't go to these kind of things. But I heard that a friend of mine was coming here tonight. And I asked Brian, I said, are you certain he's coming? He said, yeah, he's coming. Because he's the heart and soul of me in radio. And he's here tonight. I want you all to stand up with hands together for the brilliant Pat Harperton. He's down there. Pat. Pat and myself started the sports show on a Friday night. We ran between 7 and 8. And we used to be stuck for a guest. And every Friday night we asked one person to come on, and that was Pat Spillane. And Pat Spillane was always there. He was always available to talk. And we always claimed that we gave Pat Spillane his break into broadcasting. And I think Pat Spillane really appreciates that. Back on Friday, 23rd of June 1978, I married a girl called Leslie Murphy from Dominic's Place.
I played at your wedding.
You played at the wedding, you did. And funny enough, that was the day WR actually started. And Rick and Des were at the wedding. Well, Rick came up to me, he said, Matt, we're in trouble. I said, what's wrong? Transmitter is fucked. It's not been blown up. So the lads had to leave. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to stay with Leslie or go with the lads. I decided to stay with Leslie 35 years later. We're still together, but that's neither here. And I'm still with WR, so it's not too bad. Pat Harperton, I want you to come up here and tell us a fantastic... Is Andy McCluskey still here? Pat Hughes had to go out at 8 o'clock. But everything went tits up. Didn't Pat tell the people what happened that particular night?
Well, basically, Des locked Andy into the recording booth, so we had nobody to go on air at 8 o'clock. We had no news, so Matt had to get the cassette of the news in Georgia Street, which is 2 floors down, I think, wasn't it, at the time? So.
What they had was they had PVC windows and they opened out of it, so it was quite difficult. She was on the window, so it was really difficult to get the cassette down. And of course, you need somebody to catch it properly, get it back up, get it into the sheet, and get it out on air. And through some kind of a miracle, we hit the news on time. I don't know. But yeah, there was more stories than that, but we best leave those. I think some of them might be in the book actually as well.
So those are the stories that happened at the end, and the cassette was flying up and down through the windows, Pat, wasn't it? But Pat, how did you actually get to know Pat Spillane? You got his number in the phone book or something, wasn't it?
I don't know why you were interviewing me, but great stories, great radio. I wish it could happen all over again.
And I'm going to tell you a private story now because people just want to have a few jars and crack on with the night. But
Rose up Frankie King with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Big round for Frankie over there. Paul Dow is with us, folks. He's been on more radio stations than any of us. Stephen D. He's doing very well on the Breakfast Show. He's Timmy Ryan on Southeast Radio. We're going to be hearing from Timmy shortly as well. He's down there, he's waiting. He's the main actor, you will probably realise. We're just a warm-up to Timmy. But Brian Kennedy is coming now, folks. Give Brian a big round of applause. He's made a fantastic job of getting us all together and writing about it as well.
Thank you. First and foremost, the important thing. One sausage is all I got from the fucking program every day. One sausage is all I got. Listen, this means an awful lot. People coming down here tonight. There's people who have been in the same room maybe 30 years tonight, so it's lovely. I thank you every single one of you for coming down. It means an awful lot. When I done just following the Fridays last year, I wanted to take a break. Cassandra, she puts up with us so much. I said, I want to take a break for a year. But I went up to Colin Kennedy's house, and Colin said, you should write a book about DJs, you know. I was coming on about it, but when I saw his enthusiasm and his drive for the book, I said, look, we've got to do this. And I'm not standing here tonight wonderful Colin Kennedy. He's the one who gave me the contacts, the photographs and everything like this. This is much a labour of his love as of mine. So thank you very much, Colin. I've got to thank WR, Julie's, Open Tempo, Lord Brown, This Is Up, Frankie King and Home Instead. Now Home Instead, who I work for, are given €2 for every single book that's sold here tonight towards the Lions Club Christmas Hamper Field. So fair dues to Nat Conner for doing that. The Love Zone. Does anybody remember the Love Zone with Chase? Seriously. Yeah. As sad as I was, I used to ring you up every single night looking for Chicago singles, Hard to Break. I had no idea. But it's fantastic to have so many people down here tonight. There's a lot of people here tonight who wouldn't have necessarily been in radio, but would have been in a band. And a lot of people here remember Simon in the Showboat at the time when the Waterford Glass made sure that they paid people on a Thursday because Simon were playing them in the Showboat. So there's a lot of people like that. We actually have an institution here tonight. A man has been around since about 1845, and his name is Dasher Bolger. He's just there. And listen, seriously, it's fantastic there's so many people here. What we do have as well is, aside from the Showboat and Trayers and Fat Browns, which an awful lot of people remember, there's a pub called the Norris Minor, which of course is above Norris's. And it had a very alternative scene, had the likes of Louis Quinlan, in the Pasta Factor, we had Paul Butler involved as well in Neuro. So they are worth a mention towards everything here as well tonight. It means an awful lot. I thank you, Conor, for going on for the last 3 hours.
Forget Rick.
Yeah, and especially Rick Whelan as well, yeah. WLR started on the 23rd of June 1978. At the very first, there's been hundreds and hundreds of private radio stations through it from 78 onwards. But the only three that we will remember from a Munster point of view was ABC, WLR and Sureside. And an awful lot of people remember that, and it was at a time when you could, as Conor was saying, you could get away with what you wanted, with regards to that. And they've all left their own mark to everybody here. I said there's people here will remember the Love Zone, and even before that, it's an arse fan there, front runners. But what is fantastic to see tonight is the DJs that have been here. And again, I can't keep saying this. People who've not been in the same room for about 30 odd years. Now what we're going to do in a while is Noel Brown is here tonight, and it's going to be a lovely photograph, a commemorative photograph from all the DJs that are here tonight, out alongside of the trailer. You know, that's very important. Again, as I said, thank you very, very much for supporting the book. My wife goes through an awful lot of me locking myself away up in the room. The other time is porn, but these things happen. That's all. So Sandra, thanks very much for going on. Yeah, you've been there as well. You're up to you tell your wife to John, easy. We don't watch your porn, that's fine, okay. And my daughter and Leanne and Callum, who I met for about 2 minutes in the kitchen in June, I think, so I don't sleep at all. But listen, again, after I want Ray Sarsfield's come down from Dublin tonight. Now obviously he's involved with ABC. So Ray's going to come and say a few words. After that, if you have a bit of coolness labour, Roddy Clare and Timmy Ryan are going to talk about a few of the people who were here from the 70s and from the 80s. And again, as I said, we get the photo over down. But again, thank you very much for turning out there. Thank you. Ray Sarsfield, come on.
Okay, so don't forget, I forget a lot these days. First of all, Brian would like me to thank you for gathering here today so he can shake you down for a few quid. I have to write everything down these days. I even wrote that down. Listen, it's a great pleasure to talk to you before the row starts. Brian's crowning achievement this evening is not the publication of the book, but as has been said several times before, the coming together of the great and the good of broadcasting in this area under one roof. It's got the feel of a school reunion, though the common denominator is not the same school or similar age, rather a love of contemporary music and the desire to share it with the public at large. You are a cast of characters blessed with talent, passion and a love of the crack. I was at the height of my drinking career during my time at Shoreside on ABC, and it's safe to say that the majority of my colleagues at both stations had a similar thirst. It made for an interesting social life. There was the night we locked Clive Derrick in his car. He was naked at the time. There was the night Paul Durr dropped his trousers in the middle of Egan's. The time that Steve Silby kicked in the door of his flat, even though he had a key. The night that 9 of us drove home from New Ross in a Mini. The night we finished above WLR at the South End Pop Quiz again. Hey! And the night that Tony Morell told an interrogating guard that his name was Robin fucking Hood.
Not done well.
All right, okay. So, lads, as we finish up tonight, at this part of it, just like I said, we'd just like to remember those who have passed on. And if anybody has any recordings, I think it's something that we should do. We should put together some kind of, I don't know, an archive of recordings. So I know that we'll be going around the room and checking with several people. So if anybody has any recordings, maybe we should just get together and archive them for once and for all. So thanks very much, lads.
Thank you very much, Conor. Hope you have a good night, folks. First of all, congratulations to Brian for a great book. Presumably you all have a copy of it. There's €2 going to the Christmas appeal. So thanks a million. Is this distorted? Is it okay now? It's okay. I just want to mention one of the guys who just walked in there, Tom Mahan, who was one of the early WR DJs. Thomas drive in there. As a lot of people have mentioned, it's just wonderful to see so many people together in one room tonight. I haven't seen PH for so long, and it warms my heart to see Pat Harlan. I haven't seen Pat in well over 10 years. So good to see him, Pat. Alan Feasy. I bump into Shea Searson very occasionally, and it's great to see him tonight. It's just great. The gathering here is just so wonderful. I know all the lads from ABC probably haven't seen a lot of their mates as well, and we all bump into each other all the time. And it seems to be kind of a fraternity here in Waterford where, you know, we've all stuck together and we've all done well. And as Clive was saying, you know, WR came out of here, as Steve said, I can't remember, you know, WR, but ABC went over to South East Radio and, you know, flourished there. And everybody's done kind of well. And you know, I'm just looking at the names here. I know Shane mentioned people who passed away like Bob and Tony, Ray O'Brien, Eddie Cody. My God, what a legend. Every time I hear that song, we said it on the radio this morning, you know, there's a guy who works down the ship shop, swears his Elvis. It's Eddie, isn't it? The song was written for Eddie. Shorsha Omer Hinsha, Seamus Morrissey, he used to do a trad show with us. That's right. And he died and he was with us. You had Sheila O'Keefe, Billy Mull's sister. Remember Sheila? And she'd say anything on the air. You know, he's getting all empty, he still wants to have sex with me. Cut it off and stick it up in the pan. It's grand. And Sheila would say anything, and poor Sheila died. I have to mention John Ferguson as well, because John had a big part to play in my career, because do you remember John Craig, John Ferguson? And I worked with John in Cork, and he got me into the Pirates in Cork in 1977, which was a long time ago. Rick's Crackers Disco, lads, remember that? Crackers Disco?
A Carol youth from Dungarvan, West Waterford, and he taught the city slickers a whole lot about radio. The one and only Jimmy Ryan, ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 30-odd years in radio. He's still the king of the microphone, the man worth getting up for in the morning. Timmy is going to have a word with us now, and here he is, folks. Timmy, it's good to see you, boy. Fresher than ever, fresher than ever. The legendary Dr. Overdose.
I'm not going to go on with a big speech or anything like that now because we've had enough of them this evening. It's great to see a lot of the heads that are here tonight. I know we're going to introduce somebody from the bands in a minute because I think it's been a lot of radio up to now. We want to get a bit of the bands. A lot of the guys couldn't make it tonight because they're doing gigs, they're trying to make a living. But Liam Walsh is here tonight. There was a lot of confusion about his name over the years. John Fletch for Liam Walsh. Stephen Doherty's down the back there. They used to work with the Shoreside years ago. I think he's now at Southeast Radio. Kerry, the only girl here tonight. No one's mentioned really Kerry, who came in as a little schoolgirl into ABC Radio when I was there back in '85, I think. Was it 85, Kerry? 86? And did really well, went on to be a national broadcaster. Did you leave your point there? I won't take it, honestly, I really won't. But just to make it brief, we've had a fantastic time. I'm still involved in radio, thankfully, because I love it. But I got great training, the likes of Clive, Steve, some of the guys in WR were fantastic over the years. We had a ball. Can't do a lot of that stuff anymore, but God, I mean, people ask me today, some of the guys that I work with now say, what was it like? I say, I can't tell you, you had to have been there. So there's no point, you've got to read the book and get some of the stories. ABC, I had 2 years at ABC. Unbelievable. The crack was fantastic. And I can't remember where the likes of Clive, who was the boss at the time, but apart from being the boss, he was one of the guys. We used to go down to Egan's a lot. Very popular watering hole, as you remember, Steve. But we had such a ball. And I remember feeling very welcome at ABC when I went there. Shoreside was different, but it was fantastic. WR again, very different. But the training you got, just incredible. And I feel sorry for some of the guys today that have to do their courses, go to wherever they go to learn. I know Clive is doing a bit of lecturing and teaching now, but he'll give them good stuff. I know you'll show them, Clive. I know you'll show them because you've got the ability to do that. But we can make the mistakes. We can do what we wanted. We can play what we wanted. But I got into the whole radio thing because I love music, not to make money. I took a drop